So in terms of market share growth, there are two key drivers to this, assuming the model's right, okay? First one is the number of agents. So the number of agents that you actually have active in the business. Now, number of agents is driven by two things. First one, pretty obvious, is recruitment. So having an active recruitment strategy. And do you have a strong enough point of difference for me to see that I understand why me actually connecting in with you and your brand is going to actually get me further? So recruitment. And look, where we might look at agents and go, you need to prospect more, you need to prospect more, you need to prospect more, flip over the focus really with us as leaders is who is ultimately responsible for recruitment. And if everyone is responsible, then no one. And if no one's responsible, then I can almost guarantee you're not going to have the outcome that you're looking for. We know there's a talent shortage. So how do we start to recognize, given that talent shortage, are we going to grow the team, or are we going to have someone find our agency the best place for them to be and develop in their real estate career? What I will say around recruitment, there are two key recruitment questions that I ask businesses. The first recruitment question I ask is, who are you good at recruiting? The second question is, who are you great at making successful? Now, in reality, if we look at those two questions, the second question is far more important than the first. Why? You might be great at recruiting these people, but are you actually great at making them successful? There is no point having a long tail where you're recruiting people and we'll just have enough bums on seat and see what happens. Not our strategy, not our recommended model. The model is more about, who are you great at making successful? Now, that might be taking a rising start. That might be taking someone with results experience from another profession and bringing it into the real estate profession and building that particular skill set. Yes, it is getting more difficult in terms of the onboarding process, and the expectations are absolutely there. But who are you great at recruiting and who are you great at making successful? So the first key growth in terms of number of agents is your recruitment strategy. The second one, and look, I'm going to say the word retention, but no need to write it down, because I actually do not like the word retention. Retention is almost like we're retaining these people. What I prefer is the word engagement. So agent engagement, team engagement. So when people are engaged, and the ultimate test is the pub test, and the pub test is I meet one of your team at the pub on a Saturday night and say, hey, you work for such and such an agency, don't you? So yeah, I do. How is it? How was it? What's it like there? And they go, yeah, it's good. That's not the endorsement you're looking for. What you're actually looking for. So, how is it there at agency XYZ? Oh, this is amazing. It is the best decision. The leadership are just so on point in terms of helping me grow personally and professionally. And what they're offering the marketplace is extraordinary. So instantaneously, that magical moment, that moment of truth, how we're performing at the pub, right, in terms of what a team member says, will let me know how engaged they are. Now, the big point here, a lot of agencies are confused, I'll use the word confused, with this team member should stay with me based on loyalty. It has shifted, guys. It's shifted away from loyalty and towards value. So we might say, well, don't they know I've helped them with their career? Don't they know I've helped build you want to let that go and shift it over to what is the true value that we're creating. Now, here's the problem. The longer I'm with you, the longer I'm involved in your business, the law of familiarity kicks in. So I will actually get into this mode of thinking like, okay, well, I take this for granted, I take this for granted, I take this for granted. Someone who lives next to a park will take the park for granted, but someone actually rises and say, how amazing is this park? That's amazing. So we've got to have an active strategy, not a passive strategy, an active strategy of reminding our team of what the value creation and what the value we're actually putting into play there. Recruitment and also engagement. One of the things that I do like is if you can build, and some of you I know are well and truly on this particular path, if you can build an active lead strategy where you can be delivering 10, 20, 30% of the leads into that particular agent's business. By the way, they'll pay a margin for that. They'll pay a referral fee, internal fee for that could potentially drive your margin up, but also means that they get an extra, if they're doing, say, 30 sales a year, if 10 of those have actually come from a lead gen, so 33% have come from a lead gen team where they're being delivered to, they would need to have an incredibly high split somewhere else to actually achieve the same earning potential. And one of the things I find from a retention engagement point of view is to talk about earning potential versus split. Recruiters talk about split. What you want to do is talk about the earning potential within our agency to build that. So this is the first one, number of agents in terms of growth. PM slightly different, and I've decided to lean this in more on a sales point of view. But the growth in a business definitely is the sales business, the property management business, and then the other one here is other services and ancillary services that can drop significant amounts of money through to the bottom line with it through JV partners. The second part to growth in terms of market share is productivity. So productivity, I'm feeling very old school today in terms of using the flip chart. I will get to some slides, I'm sure. So productivity is driven by 3 ingredients. And it's so neat to break it down to this because, once again, this is an awesome conversation here. So this is market share, number of agents and how engaged those agents are, and then the productivity. Now, there are 3 components that play the game here. The first one here is we need to be there. Now, where is there? Pretty obvious. We need to be at the table. So right now, there are people thinking about putting their property to market, selling their home, making a move, because quite often they're in the mode of we're going to move, and selling is a function of them moving or realizing the value of their asset right now. If we're not at the table, then the issue is not a listing performance issue, it's a lead generation issue. And it's if we're not there, it doesn't matter how great we are at listing, how great we are at selling, that we're just not going to realize the potential. 2 big issues that if this one's getting in the way, it's our lead gen. By the way, we could call it prospecting, but in our model, lead gen, prospecting is a component of our lead gen strategy. So number 1, it's how effective is our lead gen. Secondly, how effective is our pipeline management? And typically in the agent work that we do, we can add at least one additional listing per month based on improving pipeline management. Now, all of you guys have been in the business for a while. So the ability for you to use best in class, world's best strategies to lead gen and world's best strategy to pipeline management, there is absolutely no reason why that should not be the case. Now, there could be some retraining, some reskilling, some upskilling to put in place, but it puts us in a position to win the business. Not there, it doesn't matter how great we are. So the second key ingredient is once we're there, we need to be the best choice for the client. And a lot of agents will come back and say, I didn't win the business because the other agent had dropped their pants on fees, one threw in marketing, one overquoted the property. Ultimately, the belief for the client was that you are not the best choice for me. So the more that we can have the team own the fact that if a client doesn't choose you, in the client's eyes, you are not the best choice. So therefore, we've got to have a strategy, a win strategy, to ensure that we can present ourselves in a way that we are the best choice for a client to make that decision. Okay, we're there, we're the best. The next ingredient, once we're there, and our win rate, by the way, the win rate that we work towards with our clients is a 75% win rate. So out of 4 listing appointments, we're winning 3 out of the 4. Now, these are the ones that are coming to market. If it's a price check or checking to see where their value sits in terms of insurance, for example, you haven't lost it, but you haven't won it. So you can't say that's part of your win rate as such. And then the final piece of the ingredient is we've won the business, fantastic. What we need to have is excellent sell-through. And the sell-through means that, and what's been interesting with this has been like an afterthought in most agencies for the last couple of years. Why? Because if we've listed it, it is going to get sold. What we're moving into now, and some of you might already be there, we're moving into a marketplace just because we listed does not mean it's sold. In fact, I break down stock into listings versus liabilities. Everyone thinks a piece of stock is a listing. Well, I see it as say, hang on, is this a list or is this actually a liability? And the more that we understand that, the more effective it is. So let me just sort of run through this. Being there is a lead gen and a pipeline management strategy. Being the best is the ability to connect with the client, demonstrate value, present a strategy that makes sense from the client's point of view, and also win the business. So it's a objection handling, it's a commitment gaining kind of strategy. Are you ready to put me to work kind of mode with this? And then the sell through is about now beefing up our seller management that has been light in most businesses for quite a while, making sure that process is unbelievably tight. So we're leaving no stone unturned in a way to make sure we're delivering a great result. And then from a buyer point of view, we've got to have a new commitment to buyer engagement and education in a way that we're starting to lift the value and the perceived value in this particular amazing asset that we've been given and trusted by the client to present to the marketplace. And notice we've got this here linking back. My belief is we do this well, and you know this when it happens well within your business, that one should lead to additional two opportunities to actually be there, a minimum of two to be there. But we've got to be in that particular mindset and that structure to make it happen. So if we look at the growth model of the business, that's how simple. So agents, what's our recruiting strategy? What's our engagement strategy? And then what's our education, skill building, strategy building, dialogue building, and mindset mode of having the team literally investing more time in this. Most real estate agents are turning up between 50, 60 hours per week. They're dollar productive somewhere between 8 and 12 hours per week. It's just not enough. Now, if you've got a team who's flipped that and their dollar productivity is sort of sitting in the 20, 30 plus hours per week, that is outstanding. And what we really want to do is how do we flip it so your team are utilizing the best strategies on the planet to be able to capitalize on this and achieve it. Now, I've done a lot of talking. I'm just going to do a quick check-in with you. One, does that make sense? And once again, this is how simple the business is. And quite often what happens is we complicate it rather than bringing it into focus in order to make it happen. By the way, I am not sure how an independent agency, how any real estate business for that matter, does all this without some external support to help them build momentum and also change the conversation a little bit within the business with it.